Honorable Secretary, Chief Guest of today's function, Dr. V. Mahesh, DG, CDAC, Srimati Gajalakshmi, IAS, Director of Fisheries, our guests of honor, my dear colleagues, dignitaries, friends, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. And I take this opportunity to welcome you all for our 31st Foundation Day celebration. I feel that it is a great occasion for all of us to get together. And when we planned this activity, trust me, just a week away, in this whole arrangement and also the logistics done by our team in less than a week time. Journey in science, engineering and technology. We celebrate all these three in our day-to-day life. And this occasion, just a reminder that we have actually crossed the paths of challenges, the path of your efforts, and just to gather together to share the views of our future too. I welcome you all to this beautiful campus. As I always mention in most of my speech in the beginning, that this campus is very unique, not just only in India, but also in the Southeast Asian countries. This is a place where I always believe that the science, engineering and technology shape our science too. And I take pride to present glimpses, I would like to tell you, with a special emphasis that only glimpses of what we have really accomplished in the recent past. So when I say recent past, it may not even count to 365 days, not even a year in fact. I'm talking about the few months of the tremendous development that has actually happened in our campus. And we are proud to present that actually today in the August audience. And when we planned, we also have kind of worried that whether this auditorium, which we have built long ago, with an expectation of not more than 200 people to be gathered at a time, now the institute has grown tremendously in all verticals that this hall is no longer enough for us actually to be gathered. For your kind information, as we speak now today here, there is also a live streaming happening of this function, and there are a few other halls also being occupied by many number of audience in the same building and elsewhere too. So, and this is the case in our science and technology and demonstration as well. Without taking much of time, I would like to highlight the recent past accomplishments that we have achieved through sincere efforts of our R&D activities on this wonderful 31st Foundation Day. So I will highlight the footprints and recent progress and achievements and success of our team here. And NIOT, National Ocean Technology, has its own mission of harnessing the living as well as non-living marine resources, not only in the exclusive economic zone of our country, but even beyond the borders. And we also have specific mandates set out by our ministry, and time to time we also accomplish the mandates and objectives set out by our ministry. And we also join hands with the other sister institutions of our ministry too. As and when the slides are actually appearing, I will probably highlight those parts. If you look at our spread, the world is not enough. We have spread our wings. We have our efforts actually starting from Arctic to Antarctic. We have expeditions in Arctic. We have expeditions in actually Antarctic. Again, in association with other sister institutions of our ministry. And although we are focusing more in the Indian Ocean regions, including the Arabian Sea and the Africa. And our spread is already there, predominantly in Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal in terms of ocean observation and in terms of explorations and campaigns. In the regions outside the EEZ, exclusive economic zone of our country. And if you look at very closely, then the entire coastline is covered by us. There is no place left out without our footprint in the entire country. East coast as well as west coast, starting from the northernmost part to southernmost part. We have projects, we have services, we have the implementation of our schemes spread all over the 9 maritime states of our country. If you look at the depth, in the depth scale, our projects starting from as high as the coastal topography to as deep as more than 6,000 meters of water that we are talking about. So we have footprints every single part of the open ocean. We have more than 700 manpower now, put together all our regular project and outsourcing staff together. And we have few campuses outside this place, Chennai. And we have developed infrastructure, very specific, unique, and state-of-the-art infrastructure actually in many places, including the one that will be actually highlighted actually after my presentation, the seafront facility in Pamanji, just we visited along with our secretary and other dignitaries yesterday. And there are some facilities being inaugurated there, and it is going to be highlighted in subsequent presentations as well. We have number of missions. I'm not going to take a long time to describe, but there are some missions which are actually going on, much awaited, most sought after, eagerly, looking forward missions. And one such mission is actually happening in a very large scale in our institute. We call them as Deep Ocean Mission, thanks to our ministry's funding, enormous funding, and in terms of funding scale, they run into several billions, and we have the responsibility of not only managing the financial but also the R&D objectives to be successfully completed in time. So there is a difference between the mission modes as well as the conventional projects that we always handle in the past 3 decades of time. This has some timeline set out to us, drawn. The lines are drawn, so we try to push our limits and bounds to reach the mission goals in certain particular time, certain time. So one such mission, probably all of us in the auditorium gathered would be familiar that we are talking about the human submersibles. Our team, Mansub team, has been working on this Matsya project, and there are a large number of challenges, practical as well as technological challenges. We are actually trying to address each one of them. There are 100 number of components, individual components. It starts from basic principles of actually how to survive in the water depths of 6,000 meters. In case if you are wondering, what is the big deal of 6,000 meters of water depth, we are talking about 600 bars, and if you are not yet figuring out, the 600 bar what it means, we are talking about roughly 600 plus kgs in 1 centimeter square. Am I right? That means a Maruti 800 car, or it could be even I-20 or whatever the car, being kept on 1 square inch of any space. And that is the kind of pressure that we are talking about. And it is enormous pressure, and in addition to that, we also have challenges of temperature. So we are thinking of actually sending 3 of our scientists to the water depth of 6,000 meters. You can imagine this is much more challenging. And there are a lot of components that we have actually developed in-house. We also agree the fact that there are some components being imported, but then the integration happens here completely indigenous. The individual control units, human support system, and how their survival actually, and also in case if they wanted to be evacuated in case of any eventuality, all of this has been meticulously designed, and all of these complex systems are actually integrated in-house. I think this is one of the biggest achievements of this project in a large scale, and none of the project in the past in the ocean engineering technological demonstration front has happened anywhere in the country in the past. So we are very proud to take this up in our campus, and we are also working on the underwater communications and the evacuation protocols and so on. The human spherical, I'm sorry, there is a small mistake over there, it's being verified by the global standard agency and so on. So we start with the lab, and we are very soon going to go to the harbor for wet test, and very soon in the next year, middle of next year, we'll be seeing the water depth of 500 meters. and by end of next year, beginning of the following year, accomplishment in the short period of time. They also help us in various other activities. The Deep Sea Tech team, we call them as DSC, Deep Sea Tech team. They have the responsibility of operating the ROVs. They have responsibility of actually identifying the resources, objects, and whatnots in the deep oceans. So anything that comes into the deep ocean, I think it is our DST team which always have come forward to accomplish. This is another team, wonderful team, a new avatar of our NIOT. We call it as Varaha avatar. I think we also named the machine appropriately the same way, Varaha 1, Varaha 2, Varaha 3. The third generation Varaha avatar has already reached the water depth of 1,200 meters. Not just only reached, but they were successful to collect the natural polymetallic nodules actually in the water depths of 1,200 meters in the Andaman Sea. I think Commander is going to explain that subsequently in the following program schedule. They are very jubilant actually. This has happened just a few months ago. No, maybe just a month ago. We have a wonderful marine biotechnology team. I think they start with very microscopic details to the macroscopic details of how the marine living bioorganism they are talking about. And we also have demonstrated actually the seaweed cultivation in the Andaman Seas in recent times, and it is actually attracting a lot of potential investors from the industry side, and also a lot of attention from the Department of Fisheries as well, as I understand, from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And yeah, we recently demonstrated that actually in the Andaman Islands. And we also have open sea cage, fish cage culture, and this also is actually attracting a lot of industry investment, and this technology has already been demonstrated, and we also joined hands together with the Department of Fisheries and other stakeholding agencies in the country. And the seafront facility, which is very unique in terms of the capacity, in terms of the characteristics, and that will be highlighted by Dr. Dharani in the subsequent stage. We call it as ballast water treatment test technology facility. Ocean energy, marine renewable in general is always there since the inception of this institute. I think, as rightly pointed out by our secretary the other day, that this institute is actually built on top of the marine renewables to begin with. I think Dr. Ravindran is also here. He would be agreeing with me that this institute built on top of the marine renewable to begin with, and our cost of harnessing the marine renewable goes on, and we have accomplished many of that. And the recent one that we have taken up again, one interesting challenge is the VOTEC. Dr. Purnima is already working on it. And we have been treated as a demigod in the Lakshadweep Islands. We are the sole supplier of the drinking water. We have a sister institution under the ministry which looks after all the science part, the National Center for Coastal Research, and we join hands together. But then we always complement from the engineering perspective, and we also do have the strong team of the coastal oceanographic team, and we try to address the coastal erosion issues and inlet restoration programs and so on. So we have a lot of successful stories to share, but then, as I said, the time may not be sufficient enough for us to showcase all our achievements here. But then, just to give a glimpses that we have been implementing some hybrid solutions. We don't want to go really hard engineering solutions to some of the coastal situations, and we wanted to address it through some judicial mix of the soft as well as hard solutions put together. And that requires a huge amount of confidence, knowledge, and of course you need to take some bold decisions too. And most of our attempts are actually successful, and we're very proud about that. We are trying to map the wave atlas. Actually, this is probably decade-old data that we wanted to revisit, revamp, and with the changing scenario in terms of climate dynamics, this would be one of the assets for the those who are working in the ocean science. And we also have successfully mapped the exclusive economic zone bathymetry, again thanks to our ministry's funding. We have mapped the bathymetry in high resolution, in fact, and we are talking about from 0 to 50 and then 50 to 300 and beyond. So we have stage-wise mapping of the bathymetry. This is very useful information for those working in the modeling and the prediction stage. Ocean acoustics have the team has already been doing a wonderful job. I think we have plenty of expeditions and plenty of indigenous development. And one highlight that I would like to make here is the facility that is developed by our team, Ocean Acoustic team, is not only recognized within the country, but is also recognized now as a designated instrument of global scale now. There are 7+ countries they participate in kind of a simultaneous testing. So there will be some common goal, common objective set out to all these facilities, and we are one among them. So they try to cross compare how well we are doing better in terms of the acoustic test facility being utilized for the research activities and so on. So we are doing great there, and there are some expeditions which go beyond the borders. Marine sensor team, as I said,